All right, so what we're going to put in now is our Lokk latch Deluxe. So it's keyed, I like, on both sides. Best to really just follow the instructions that's given in the packet, just very clear instructions. But I'm just going to show you how we do it anyway on the video. We're going to probably miss a couple of the instructions, so it's probably good to just read it anyway. But I'll give you a few little tips and stuff of what you can do when you install this. So first things first, just to determine where the lock's going to go, they give you this this sort of screws onto the post, but it's actually got a bit of a drill template and a couple of little lines here. So what you do is sort of put that where you want it. I put a tiny little texture mark on the middle line, and then transfer that across the post, so you've got a mark on either side of the post. And then I just get a bit of a screw, and this just sort of centers up your holes and stuff quite nicely. So you just sort of put that on there, get that right, and there's a tiny little hole there. And this just to give you a bit of a pilot hole. Now you do it on the other side. It needs to be level. And then we use our gold drill bit, and we just simply make that hole bigger. You're in a nice decent hole. Obviously, you don't want to go too big either, just follow the instructions on what it says. I think it's about 10 mil, but it might be 12 or it might be 8. Just read the instructions. The reason you don't want too big a hole, obviously it's going to show past the lock and look ugly. But one of the main reasons you don't want it too small, because these lock latches need all the room they can to move the mechanism, and if they're somehow touching just under the side wall of the aluminium, you're going to find that the locking mechanism isn't going to click and lock properly. It's really frustrating, but this is usually where the troubleshooting starts here. Usually if you're finding your keys not turning and locking properly or unlocking properly, or your latch isn't going down properly, it's usually to do with these holes not being big enough. Alright, whoop, that wasn't meant to happen. So, now what you want to do is get this all right. Now, I'm going to have this bit on the outside. And so when you look at it, you just sort of want the lock and everything to be facing upwards. So you can choose to have this like this or like this. In this case, we're going to have this on the outside. Right, so if that's the case, then you sort of just clip it all in and lock it in on this design in particular. So that's all good to go. Then what you want to do is you get a little rod, and that simply just goes in there and actually just clicks in. With this one, some of the older models didn't do that, but this one in particular, you just sort of click it in. So then what you want to do is push that through and get that nice and center, and you want to cut this level, flush with the post. All right, so you don't want it protruding and you don't want it set back. You want it exactly flush with the post. I've just marked that there, and I'm going to angle grind cut that, a nice clean cut. This also, getting this length right is very important. Too small, when you push this button, it's not going to open up the mechanism. Too long, the mechanism isn't going to close, and you're not going to be able to lock it or unlock it. It's just really frustrating. So they're really the two main things, getting that hole big enough and making sure this is the perfect length. Again, just follow the instructions and it should be all good. get all the bird edges off that, so it's all nice and neat. Then get your drill to the Phillips head bit. And you've got some silver screws and some black screws in this packet. Get them all out so you've got to know what you're working with. So in this, what we're going to do now is work out, this is the lock latch on this side. So obviously this can go on like that or like that. So in this case, that's the way we need it. Now to put that in position, you've got some tiny little silver screws, and they just sort of go in the back of this, and you just sort of screw them in. Sort of go along and screw them in. Alright, that's all good to go. Now, you're going to get yourself a couple of these black screws in your pocket ready to go. Now what you want to do is basically effectively put that in there like that. Alright, but you do it through the post. So get that through there, give this a push so it sticks out, and you get that in position. Now when you put these in, you're going to have a bit of play up and down. Now that's your that's the hole that you've drilled out. Now like I said, you don't really want it touching the mechanism, touching the wall of the aluminium. So you sort of want to go up and down and sort of find the middle spot, and the same with this end. And that way you know it's sort of in the center of the hole, and you're going to be all good. So then I'm just going to hold that there and do some bit of tricky stuff. So up, down, somewhere in the middle there. Put one in there. Yeah, same with this one. Up, down, somewhere in the middle. Now, I just want to put another screw in the face of it like this. Alright, I'm just going to put another screw in the face of this one. Now, don't fully screw this all off yet until you know it's all good. Put the key in the center. Now just give that a push. And you want to see this mechanism going all the way up. Come and have a look at that. You want it to go all the way up and all the way down. If you have that thing inside too long, you're going to find that this is up a bit like that, which is not great. You're not going to be able to lock it. So you really want that to go up and down. Now this is the test as well. So to unlock the mechanism, you fully go that way. But to lock it, fully go the other way. You hear a faint little click. That way you know it's locked. You're not going to be able to push this. It's not going to open that. And this is not going to open. Alright? And to unlock it, fully go that way. You hear it click, bring it back to the center. You're going to be able to open that freely. And the same with this side. Simply click, and it's locked. And simply go the other way. Click, and it's unlocked. And then you can go ahead, once that's all working perfectly, and I'm actually pretty surprised that's worked for the first time for the video, just go ahead and put the other screws in and finish that off. And then all you've got to do is put this on. So just keep it rolling, we'll show you what we do. I'll screw this off. And a couple of screws in my pocket. Yeah. I just like to test that just to see it's still going. Alright, now you might actually want to come in here, Zach. Step inside. See everything there, alright?
Yep.
Now the last part of the whole gig is getting that on there. So basically when you put this in, you want this to center, right? You don't want it too high, you don't want it too low, you just want it right in the center so it just sits in there nicely. Probably best just to leave it in there while you screw it off. Can be a little bit tricky. Again, you might need two hands. find is actually when you screw it in, there's actually room if you have it a little bit loose to slide up and down. So when you put that first screw in, just want to make sure that that's perfect. And that's pretty good right there. So then I'm just going to go ahead and screw that off. Just double check that. Alright, that's what you want. When you close it down fully, you want that to have freedom to go all the way down. Over time your gate might sag and stuff, and you can adjust the hinges and adjust this as need be. You know, especially if you've concreted the posts in. Especially if you've concreted the posts in, Zach, you're right there, you can trip up. Yeah, especially if you've got concreted posts in, you might have a little bit of movement in the gate. The gate itself is fairly strong, it shouldn't sag over time. So yeah, and that is how you install a lock latch